so I ended up reading 10 books in March. So let's talk about those. So the last one I finished, I read Wish of the Wicked by Daniel Page, and this is basically like a backstory for the fairy godmother from Cinderella. Like, Cinderella is in this, and you start to see like how like things kind of intertwined, and there's a different take on like the evil stepmother and the stepsisters and all of that. And yeah, it's like it's definitely like a darker like retelling, but it's also YA, so it's an interesting time. Like, this is, we have the fairy godmother and their entente or whatever. I is how they said it in the audiobook, anyways. But they basically use magic and to like help the kingdom. And so they work, but well, it's not a kingdom. In this book, it's all queendoms. So there's no kings in charge. It's all women in charge. Except then there ends up being like an evil queen, but that just like has no empathy and doesn't care about anybody and all that kind of stuff. And so she ends up basically getting everybody to turn on them. She gets everybody to turn on basically these group of magic users, and it's like not a great time. So their little society is like just not having the best time, I would say. So, you know, basically the whole book is like trying to get revenge on her because she basically wipes them out. Like, it's a really a bad time to be using magic in this kingdom. She decided to go to war on them, basically. So there's a lot of wanting revenge in this, and then that queen had a son, a prince, and he's the only one because they always have girls to keep going in the queendom, and it's like a magical thing. So she had a prince, she had a son, and so things are getting weird. Like, it's not normal. There's like unnormal circumstances that, you know, uh, they're having to navigate and deal with, and there's a whole lot of resentment and grief and stuff that happen in this book. Like, it's rough. Like, the book basically starts with one of their leaders in their group like getting got, and it's a rough time to be alive in this world. So yeah, dark, but I gave it 3.5. So, yeah, not bad. And I think there's a sequel, so I think I will read that because I kind of want to know what happens. Like, there's Cinderella, the prince, the fairy godmother, and like, yeah, but like not in the normal sense. Very undisneyfied version. So there's that. The book I read before that was Where Dreams Fall, so I had the arc of that. And this book, like, at the beginning, I was kind of like I felt kind of meh about it. But then, as soon as we got past like the setup part, I was so invested, and it went like 100 miles an hour. Like, it was so fast paced after that. So this book, Where Dreams Fall, like this, it was so intense. It ended up being so intense. Like, it's a dark romantasy, and at first I was like, "Where's the dark part?" Like, I'll see it, and then it gets there. It gets there. It goes from like herpaderp a little bit, where like there's just a few sus things where you're like, what the hell's going on, to holy shit, that happened. That just happened, and yeah. So basically, this is like a human world. There's humans in this world, but they're like ruled by elves that feed on their dreams or their nightmares, and so there's like a divide of like two kinds of elves that are like living in the clouds above them, and then like affecting whether you have dreams or nightmares and all that kind of stuff. Like, apparently people just don't dream naturally anymore. It's all like affected by them. So they're preying on the dreams and the nightmares, and she basically like ends up in their world, and you see that it is an ugly world indeed. So not like physically like the world's pretty, because of course it is, but there's a lot of bullshit going on. There's a lot of bullshit, and it's like kind of like political bullshit, and it's an interesting time, and I was into it. I was so into it, like, after that first part. And it's like, even though it's like so fast, and honestly, like, realistically, you would want the romance part to like kind of build up a little bit more. But at the same time, like, I was still invested in it somehow. I was like, this like never happens, you know? It's like, it's really hard to do that, I feel like. But yeah, I liked it a lot, and I really want to continue this series when the next ones come out. So anyways, that's the Defying Fate series, and that is, um, it's a really short too. It was like under 300 pages, so it's a very fast read, very short read, and I need more immediately. But, I gave that one 4.5. I feel like, other than the romance being kind of rushed and the beginning being, like, it took me a little bit to, like, sink into it. Other than that, like, other than those two things, it would have been, like, 5 stars. But, yeah, I'm down. I'm so down for the rest of the series so far. So there's that. And then after that, I listened to the audiobook of Graceless Heart, which by Isabella Banez. And this is, like, I didn't know that this was going to be part of a quartet, but I have a feeling they're like standalone quartets. But this is apparently the Spellbound Histories quartet, so I think it's just going to be like different historical stuff. But anyway, so this one, The Graceless Heart, this one's like set in Italy, and you have this one is another one where magic is like frowned upon and you will be burned at the stake type of stuff. But instead of by just like the regular kingdoms doing, this is by the popes doing. So it's like historical in that sense of like it's an old timey Italy where like you need to be thought of well by the church, to be thought of well by the community and all that, or you would be like ostracized and stuff. So it's like it's kind of hardcore. So the Pope has like a lot of sway in these people's lives, and he's just threatening them left and right with excommunication, yada blah blah blah. But the Pope has a lot of secrets, a lot of dirty secrets, and then yeah, there's just a lot of secrets in this, and then there's like an immortal family, and you kind of find out what they are in the book, which is not what I expected at all. But the way that things are kind of twisted up in this is interesting, but it's also kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers type of thing, but I don't know, like not in a way that I liked a whole bunch, because it's kind of, I don't know, like rinse and repeat to me. I was like the Pope and like the the church hates witchcraft. Who knew? So I feel like that was the part that's just kind of like, that's historical, all right, but I don't know. It's just the way that it was. Like, it had, like, its good moments and stuff, but I just kind of felt like the story was kind of slow for me, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, I was definitely interested in certain parts, but the other parts, like, a little bit less so. Like, I was kind of in and out with it. Like, it just didn't grab me the whole time. And I couldn't really say why, other than, like, maybe I'm just not the most into historical stuff like that. But if you are, and that's your cup of tea, then I think you'll love this. But, I mean, I think I just really like bullshitty fantasy more than like historically accurate fantasy. I mean, not that it's even that accurate, but it's like it's definitely all set up in like a very historical sense. So I don't know, like this one was, it was hit and miss, but it was still kind of interesting. So this one I gave it 3.5. But I think for me it was mostly like I had a hard time kind of believing the romance. I think that's what it was, honestly. Like, I feel like for me, I'm very picky about romances, and the romance in this one just didn't quite sell me. But anyways, so there's that. And then after that, I read Jade War. I read Jade City and Jade War. So I'm just going to put those together because, that's 1 and 2 in a series. And I read both of those in March, which is crazy. Like, I went kind of fast through those two. I still need to read the last one that's coming up, but so far, like, the first two, so good. Like, this is intense. This is intense. Like, think of, like, Mafia War type stuff, but, like, make it Asian, basically. Because this is, like, there's family clans that are fighting, but they trained in, like, martial arts, and then, like, it's It's all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of fighting. There's fighting, fist fighting, sword fighting, magic fighting, like a lot of fighting, a lot of family politics because the clans are built around families, right? That control stuff, and then there's those clans are fighting for control in this world. But the thing that like makes them even have like that much power in the first place is the jade, because in this world, the jade that they have in like their country is very good for like boosting people's powers. And so there's jade bones. There's the ones that can use the jade in order to, like, the more jade you wear, like the more powerful you are. But then there's also like a limit, or you can go crazy, and it kind of almost acts like a drug for people, like almost like steroids. But it's like intense. So the effect that this jade has on people is very intense, and like they like end up fighting each other and like taking the jade and all that to add to their collection. And it's like a whole thing. It's like a whole thing, and there's a whole lot of pride in like having the jade and being able to use it and being like a good warrior. Like there's a lot of warrior talk. But basically, this all turns into the first book, especially, is just like how this war started between the clans, because it kind of starts with like there's peace, and it's the build up into like this war between them. And then the second one, you're fully in it, like this is what's happening, and now the stakes are growing even internationally. Like you start seeing stuff, how this is expanding and affecting like the rest of the world. And it's just so intense, and it's so intricate, and there's a lot of characters, so it did take me like a little bit to like start understanding like who is who and stuff. But once you like get used to that and you get into it, oh my god, I'm so scared. Every book I'm like scared for a couple of specific characters. And I'm like, please get your shit together. One, like the lady that's in charge of like the mountain clan, I think it's the mountain clan, she is crazy, but like in a diabolical, like scheming, conniving way. Like she is such a good villain. She's such a good villain. And then on the other side, on the no peak side, you have like basically kind of like an emotional hothead in charge, and then like guilt tripping his family into doing shit. It's kind of like, you know, you see all of the family dynamics and you see the political side, but then you also see like all of the emotional side, and it's so intense. Like every time I'm so worried for the characters, but I'm into it, and I really like, now that especially now I'm talking about it again, like I really want to read that last book so bad. So that's definitely coming up for me to read, because I need to know how this finishes. But anyway, so that's that series. I gave both books 4 stars. 4 stars, like, just because I get a little confused sometimes, and I think that's more of a me problem. Like, if I was able to keep up with it a little bit better, then maybe it'd be more of a 5 star. But you know, like, my brain is just not the most brainy brain. Sometimes I'll be having a little bit of issues, but that's me. So, you know, if your brain's more fully awakened, you can handle all of this stuff and keep it straight in your head. You might give it a 5. So, anyways, that's me. That's me. Otherwise, I think it would be even higher. But you know, so I feel like basically what I'm saying is that on a reread, I think I would love it even more. That's what I'm really saying. But anyway, so these are good, and I totally understand why people hype these books. So, yeah, the Greenbone Saga is good shit, and if you like fighting and all that kind of stuff, you should definitely read this, because it's intense. It's intense and it's good. So then after that, I have this manhwa that I read, The Merman Trapped in My Lake. So this is a webtoon that is being published, and basically I picked it up because it was really pretty, and I thought it was going to be chill, because, you know, I don't know, I read like a little bit of the synopsis, and I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, it still sounded like it could be maybe only a little unhinged, not that much. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but not what it was. This book is actually pretty dark. It's dark. The people in the story all are ill, mentally and physically. So there's a lot of illness talk, a lot of just obsession. There is so much obsession in this, and people acting like they own other people. And she's like, no, you're my merman, and all this stuff. So yeah, there's a mermaid trapped in the lake. Yeah, he ends up in the lake. They get her a merman, put him in a tank, and then he ends up in the lake and all this. And but then like this whole first book, this whole first volume or whatever is basically setting up and telling you like the history of this family, because the beginning of this book, you're like, there's like an old man talking to this girl, and you're like, what the hell's got to do with it? And that's just their family history. That's just their family history, and it's kind of crazy. This is craziness. These people are all unhinged and very possessive and very crazy. And so basically, this first volume is just telling you the family history. And so then I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen next. But I think I'm going to read the rest on Webtoons. So love that for me. I love that that's all on there. So that's that. I gave this one 3.5. 3.5. Because, yeah, it's kind of a setup book, but also, these people, they're just crazy. There's really no other way to say that. Anyways, after that, I listened to the audiobook of Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, and, that one was, I think that's the last book in the Skyland series, so that's like a series of romances that, I was really into the first two. And then when this is Hendrix's romance. This is like a contemporary romance, so no fantasy in this one. But this one, like, I don't know. I just like Hendrix is like such a good character. Like she has personality. She has her shit together. Like she just is not like taking that much shit, and like good for her. But then at the same time, like I don't know. Like the drama all was obviously from haters on the outside, because that makes sense for her. That honestly makes sense for her that people will be hating. But basically the whole mess was like her love life blowing up her like work life and stuff, and that part was interesting. But like their romance was kind of, I don't know. The actual romance part fell a little flat for me, because like it was such a mature relationship, but like there really wasn't even that much drama, and like everything, it was just so obvious to me how it was gonna work out, that I feel like that's why I wasn't as invested in this romance between her and the dude. Like, they're just both mature adults that are trying to, like, handle their shit. And the problems were all just, like, I felt like a little bit forced. Because it's like, these are really non-issues if you just, think about it just a little bit more. And they did, and they sorted it out, and there you go. And just, I don't know, I wasn't, I feel like it's harder for me to be, like, invested in romances when the two characters, like, there's like nothing really that hard holding them back, which I feel like is, it's probably just because I'm used to reading more fantasy romance. There's like supernatural or like magical reasons, or like really high stakes reasons of why things can't always come together. But like for this like normal circumstance type stuff, the stakes just weren't that high. So, it was like, it was fine. There was really nothing wrong with it. I just feel like the book was maybe just a little bit too long. But yeah, the drama was all very obvious. Like, I called it. I knew it was just really, this one was just really obvious compared to the other ones. So I think that's why I just didn't like it as much, even though, like, I like the characters individually. And then, like, together they were, like, a really good couple. But, like, I don't know. This one was just too obvious, I guess. Really. So, I gave it, like, a 3. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I guess I'm old enough to, like, kind of see how this was gonna play out. I don't know. So that was that. I gave it 3. After that, I read. I was so invested in this. Like, this series that has been fucking me up, man. Like the Four Horsemen series. This romance. This is like paranormal romance, I guess, because it's the four. Woo, yes. So yeah, let's talk about both of these, actually. Because yeah, these books had me messed up. Especially, like, the first 2, I read them, and they had me, like, so upset. And, like, just, like, I was so invested. It was so hardcore that I was, like, crying and stuff. And then I just, like, I couldn't read them back to back. But then Famine... Famine was my least favorite one out of this series. So, because Famine, like, okay, well, if you don't know the setup, the Four Horsemen, so it's romances with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, so, it's end times of the world. All the technology is wiped out and all that kind of stuff, so they're kind of having to, like, live more old school style. But anyways, so, and the Four Horsemen have been going around. So the third one wakes up, Famine, and he's just kind of an asshole. He is more of an asshole than all the rest of them. Like the rest of them, I feel like they have more of a like a more endearing personality to an extent. Like even War, because War at least he like understand. I think War probably understood humans the most, just because he's like, well, I come from human hearts. He's there from like our own shit basically. But Famine, he was like, I've been here before y'all. I'll be here after y'all. I don't give a shit about y'all. Like Famine really does not give a shit about people. He just doesn't roll like that. And so yeah, he's kind of an asshole. And so he was kind of my least favorite. And so this one, like, yeah, he does a lot of horrific shit. But yeah, I was just like, but the way this ended with like everybody reuniting, basically, just it had me like hooked to start the next one immediately. So that's what I did. And then I ended up reading and so I gave this one 4 stars. And then I was so invested that I immediately had to start Death. And this one I was so invested. Like Death is such an emo, honestly, because he's like he's like, the only time I spend with people is when they're dying, and I'm like, that's when it's their time to go and stuff. And I'm just like, that's really sad. He's like, and everybody hates me, and yeah, you ain't wrong, like no lies were told. Like he has the most reason to be a little bit like of like an emo dude, because nobody likes him. I mean, not that anybody likes the other ones either technically, but at least like their relationship, like he is there up front and center when it is time for you to go, you know. So, and everybody's always like the most mad at this because the other shit all ends in this basically. So he's like, well, no, I have to do my job, I have to judge everybody, and like this is one thing that is always there. There's no life without death, and yada blah blah blah. Like it's all that, and like so it's so hardcore. I feel like his is like so much more hardcore, because he's like, my existence is just, it has to be what it is. Like, you know what I mean? The other ones are like, oh, I guess I don't have to do this, but Death's like, no, like this is my duty. He's the most like in his shit about it being his duty. And but the way that it ends is like so good. Like, oh my god, this book had me so messed up. And like him and his love interest, oh my god, him and his lady are running around like playing this like cat and mouse ass game and like doing all this shit. Oh, like he wants to snatch her up, and she's just like, I need to end him. And oh my god. It was intense and very different. Like in all the other ones, they kind of like are like, okay, come along with me, da da da. I mean, Death kind of tries to get her to go along with her, but their dynamic is so different. Like this was the most different one out of all of them, but I loved it. Like was such a good series conclusion. Like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with this. Like I will absolutely reread this series at some point again, because oh my god, I gave this book 5 stars. This finale book, I gave it 5 stars. I'm obsessed. So anyways, yeah. I think I just really like Laura Thalas's books, so I'm obsessed. I'm really glad I bought these books. So anyways, that's that. And then the very last book I had on this list is Vows and Ruins from the Legends of Thesmar series. So that's the second book. And I already sold that one off because, like, this series is a fantasy romance that unfortunately I don't feel the need to, like, I'm never going to reread it. But it's, like, one of those fun for now type of reads. So I've been kind of, like, you know, I think I'm still going to end up completing this series. But this one's definitely not as like intense for me. Like there is some messed up stuff because, you know, for Thesmar there's a whole thing of like our main character, she has like she knows her expiration date basically. Give or take a little bit. And there's also this whole thing of like she's not supposed to no woman is supposed to like be trained in like the ways of the war swords or whatever, because a woman holding like a specific kind of blade is gonna supposedly, there's like a whole prophecy of like a woman wielding the right kind of blade is gonna like destroy the whole kingdom or whatever. So she had to, you know, in the first book it's all about her trying to like circumvent this because she wants it like so bad. And then the second book, and like it kind of, the first book, she meets that dude. She meets this like this dude that is like, the love interest is like a super big deal war sword, and their problems are also imaginary, and that's like, and self-inflicted, and that also is why I'm just kind of like not so invested, 'cause I'm like, she's just like, I can't train you, and I can't train you and be your boyfriend at the same time. And I'm like, the fuck, why not? Like, I don't know. I still, like, he has his reasons, but I kind of think they're all bullshit. And the second book is basically them being like, yeah, it's all bullshit. So, I just, I don't know. Like, it's a fun read, but it's not like, not that much. But anyways, I've heard that like the second book is like the smuttiest one. So yeah, there was a lot of that, and so I didn't feel like there was as much substance to that book. But the first one did set it up enough to where like I'm like invested enough to keep going. But it's not like my favorite series ever or anything like that. So this one, yeah, this one was the like heavy smut book. So this one I gave it 3 stars just because there wasn't as much like plot progression in this as I would have wanted. I think if there had been a little bit more of that, I would have I probably would have liked it a little bit more. But yeah, this is not my favorite book in the series. So far, I think I like the first one more. So I gave this one just a 3. But we're going to continue on. So anyways, those are the 10 books that I read. And I have like 4 physical here. But anyway, so yeah. That's what I read for March. And then we'll see what happens in April. Catch y'all next time.